So I've got to share this article with you at Deadspin. It's a story by Sam Fells. This came out the 6th. It's about the Tampa Bay Rays, these 5 players that refuse to wear these pride patches on Pride Night. And I'll admit this to my audience. I'm gay. Originally from the Tampa Bay area, born and raised. But I don't believe in forcing my beliefs or how I live on somebody else. And whether Mr. Fells likes it or not, these 5 players have every constitutional right to exercise their religious beliefs. To not wear a pride patch if it goes against their religious beliefs, even if they weren't religious. And they didn't want to wear a pride patch, that's their right not to wear one. But when I read this article, I couldn't believe the amount of bias and vitriol, the venom that he is spewing at these 5 players. This is a guy who is exercising his First Amendment right by attacking these 5 players. It's okay for Colin Kaepernick to kneel during the national anthem, you see. But it's not okay for these 5 players to exercise their religious beliefs and say, look, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in the LGBTQ plus lifestyle. I'm not going to wear this patch. We don't live in Nazi Germany, folks. So it says here, remember not so long ago that one of the reasons it was thought the Colorado Rockies couldn't win is because the whole organization was dead set on being a weird religious cult? I didn't know that the Colorado Rockies were a religious cult, did you? That's quieted down in recent years, and it turns out that they're more of a run-of-the-mill, backward, nepotism, lousy group of morons. This is so sophomoric. But don't worry, MLB. You've got a new team that apparently, Warriors for Christ, that's limiting the appeal of your game. Mr. Fells, how are Christians on the Tampa Bay Rays limiting the appeal of the MLB? I'll tell you what's limiting the appeal of the MLB. It's him getting involved with the woke crowd to begin with. People go to watch a game to escape the drudgery of everyday life, to escape politics. They don't need you preaching to them while they're watching a game in the stadium or at home. On Saturday, the Rays tried to boost their Pride Night by having rainbow patches on their jerseys and hats, and 5 players removed them, citing their religious beliefs, which, as George Carlin has told us, is always the last place to turn for someone with no answers and no ideas, but needs a shield from rightly being called a bigot. They're under the impression it's a get-out-of-being-thought hateful card. Oh, so just like these protesters in 2020 that were burning down these buildings in Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, you name it. All in the name of social justice for minorities being attacked by police. That's okay. It's okay to engage in criminal activity, burn down a building, loot and riot. But you can't exercise your religious beliefs? Jason Adam, who apparently was chosen to be the spokesman for the Rays block of hate, trying to mealy-mouth his way to threading a needle that doesn't exist that makes it okay to hate gays without feeling like you hate gays. Adam tried to claim that he doesn't look down on the LGBTQ plus community and that they're still welcome, but of course he wouldn't do the actual thing that would make it seem like those two things were true, all while parading out the usual drivel that it's around, quote, hate the sin but love the sinner, horse blank. Mr. Fells, you can like the music of a certain composer or a rock star and maybe not agree with some of the things that they've done. Same thing here. Somebody who is religious can get along with somebody they disagree with. They can have compassion for somebody they may disagree with, but hate the sin. Obviously, this guy has never read the Bible. It's not much of a surprise, so we know there's a decent swath of MLB players who are corn-fed mules that wave a Bible at any building over 4 stories tall for encroaching too close to their Lord. Doesn't matter what the belief is in the very vacant space between your ears when you talk about homosexuality as a lifestyle or choice. It's apparent that 1, you don't get it, and 2, you do actually discriminate against them. Okay, so if they don't get their lifestyle, how is that discriminating against somebody? They just don't understand this lifestyle. I mean, if, let's say these MLB players worked in a bank, they weren't part of the MLB, they were working in a bank, and they didn't give a gay couple a loan because they were gay, then that would be discrimination. You mean tell me that Mr. Fells doesn't know the difference? You can bet the wingnuts like Adam would criticize other religions for the treatment of any number of groups like women or gays as well. But when it comes to Christianity, it's always a cover for people like him. Well, Mr. Fells, I grew up in the church. Okay, and I may not agree with everything that's in the Bible, but I have every right to believe or not believe what I want to believe in. And you can have disagreements within a particular faith. Didn't seem to bother any of the USMNT players yesterday, as all the numbers on their jerseys for their friendly against Uruguay were rainbow colored. If Rob Manfred had any stones, he'd push the Rays in some fashion. But he's probably as terrified of angry baseballs, ever, and this is in parentheses, ever aging and ever shrinking meathead quotient in their fandom as much as he is doing anything that doesn't actually kill interest in the game. Actively kill interest in the game. Okay, first of all, Mr. Fells, could you shorten your sentences here? Please, could you shorten the sentences and make a little more sense? See, these people are so entrenched in LGBTQ rights, in the cause, that they have no common sense. They don't know how to write a sentence. Maybe I'll read this sentence again. If Rob Manfred had any stones, he'd punish the Rays in some fashion, but he's probably as terrified of angering baseballs, in parentheses, ever aging and ever shrinking meathead quotient in their fandom as much as he is doing anything that doesn't actively kill interest in the game. Here's something that might bake the noodle of Adam and his cohorts in ignorance. Given what we know about Jesus' lifestyle, no wife, hung out with a bunch of dudes, but was also friends with prostitutes, I'll give you 3-1 that Jesus was gay. Okay, so that's his whole premise. Jesus was gay. Why didn't you just write an article, Mr. Fells, saying that Jesus was gay, or you believe that Jesus is gay? Although there's no evidence in the Bible of it. And he hung out with those people, Mr. Fells, if you read the Bible, because he believed in caring for the outcast in society, people who didn't have a say, who were just passed over. He was showing mercy on those people that were passed over, that were the outcast of society. Maybe you should show a little mercy for these players who are just exercising their religious beliefs, which are protected under the First Amendment. Sure, having players forced to wear rainbow patches on their jersey and hat isn't really that much of a show of support, but it's a hell of a lot better than the juxtaposition of some players wearing them and some not, and them having to address it through an empty vessel like Adam that makes it clear that the Rays don't really care to make the LGBTQ plus community welcome. And that's another thing, too. What is with all these pronouns and the plus and to the third degree of P and Y and Z? What is up with this? I did a video last year about this. If you've got that many letters in the LGBTQ alphabet, then we've got some serious issues. But hey, baseball is America's pastime, so it tells us, well, I guess you can say that baseball is gay in general because it involves a bat and balls, right? I'm just being tongue-in-cheek. So it tells us more and more desperately with each passing year, so it should reflect our sliding to a minority-driven theocracy will soon all be ruled by. So that's the article at Deadspin by Sam Fels. One of the most biased, hateful pieces of journalism I think I've ever written. Safa, more to the core. Jesus was gay. There you go. Jesus was gay. Okay. All because these 5 players didn't want to wear a pride patch. Because it just went against their religious beliefs. Unreal, folks. Absolutely unreal. This is what you're dealing with out there. So I'm sorry if I don't have all the right words today here for the video. Can't think of how many takes I've done. But go read this article at Deadspin. It's clear bias by this author who can't see both sides of the issue. He assumes that everybody who's a Christian is a meathead. That they're clueless. They're not educated. Well, I'll tell you something. I will trust a Christian. I will trust somebody with a Confederate battle flag. I'll trust a dog catcher over Mr. Sam Fels. Any of these cats in the woke crowd who think they know what's best for me and want to push their way of life on me. As I said, I'm gay. Don't tell me how to live my life. Let me be. To each his own. Maybe Mr. Fels needs to read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, before he starts spouting off such nonsense in this Deadspin article. Issues, Mr. Fels. You got issues. So you like the video, you know what to do. You can also catch me at Instagram, hashtag Jason Composes. Find me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. Stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country. I'll catch you next time, which should be tomorrow, because tomorrow they're going to resume this January 6th hearing. We'll get into that. I think it's day 3 of the show trial. So join me for that. I'll catch you then.